The neon lights of the Las Vegas Strip may shine brighter than ever, but beneath the glitter lies a truth that could bring the entire city to its knees water, or the lack of it. Nearly 90% of Las Vegas's supply comes from Lake Mead, the massive reservoir behind the Hoover Dam. But today, Lake Mead is at just 26% capacity, its lowest levels in history. For decades, Vegas has defied nature, building a desert empire of fountains, pools, and golf courses in one of the driest places in America. But now, the bill is coming due. Experts warn that if Lake Mead drops just a few dozen feet more, it could hit dead pool, the point where no water flows past Hoover Dam. That would mean no water for 2.3 million residents of Clark County, no water for the casinos, and no water for the Strip itself. The consequences are almost unthinkable. Without water, the Bellagio fountains go dry, the luxury pools turn to dust, and the city that never sleeps could become the city that can't survive. So, the question is unavoidable. What happens to Las Vegas when the taps finally run dry? Tonight, we uncover the crisis that could erase the city's future and reveal why some experts believe Vegas may be living on borrowed time. Las Vegas has always been a paradox, a city of excess built in the middle of one of the driest deserts in North America. While the neon lights of the Strip suggest endless abundance, the reality is that the city survives on a single fragile lifeline, Lake Mead and the Hoover Dam. Nearly 90% of Las Vegas's water comes from this one reservoir. That means every drink poured in a casino, every fountain show, every golf course sprinkler, and every family's tap in Clark County is directly tied to a lake that is shrinking faster than anyone thought possible. Unlike cities near rivers or coastlines, Vegas has no natural water source to fall back on. It is quite literally living on borrowed water. The history of this dependence goes back to the 1930s when the Hoover Dam was completed on the Colorado River. The dam created Lake Mead, then the largest man-made reservoir in the United States. For decades, Lake Mead supplied water and electricity across the Southwest. It was the miracle that allowed Las Vegas to grow from a dusty railroad town of just 5,000 people in 1930 into a sprawling metropolis of over 2.3 million residents today. But that miracle came with a flaw. Vegas was betting its future on a single source. Unlike Los Angeles, with access to imported aqueducts, or Phoenix with agricultural water rights, Las Vegas has no alternative pipelines of significance. Its survival depends on giant intake tunnels that suck water from Lake Mead and pump it directly into the valley. The city knows how precarious this is. That's why it spent $1.5 billion building the so-called third straw, a massive intake pipe completed in 2015 at the very bottom of the lake. Engineers designed it so Vegas could still draw water, even if Lake Mead fell to record lows. Without it, the city might already be dry today. Yet, even with that safeguard, the numbers are terrifying. In 2000, Lake Mead was nearly full. Today, it is at just 26% capacity, a decline so dramatic that the white mineral bathtub ring around the reservoir is visible from space. If the level falls another 100 feet, Hoover Dam could stop producing electricity. If it falls below 895 feet, water could stop flowing entirely. That's the nightmare scenario, dead pool. For Las Vegas, that would mean catastrophe. No more fountains, no more pools, no more endless growth. The Strip could go dark, not because of money or tourists, but because there is no water left to keep it alive. And the most chilling part, this isn't speculation. It's already happening. The future of Las Vegas hangs on a single lake, and that lake is vanishing before our eyes. If you want to understand just how dire the situation is, you only need to look at Lake Mead itself. Once the pride of the American West, this massive reservoir behind the Hoover Dam is now the most visible symbol of crisis. In the year 2000, Lake Mead was nearly full, holding back more than 28 million acre-feet of water. Today, it holds barely 7 million. That's a loss of 3/4 of its volume in just 2 decades. The visual evidence is haunting. Around the edges of the lake, a giant white band of mineral deposits known as the bathtub ring marks where the water used to be. This ring stretches for hundreds of feet, a permanent scar on the landscape that shows just how far the reservoir has fallen. Once bustling marinas now sit on dry ground, their boat ramps ending in empty dirt. Locals describe the lake as a ghost of itself. By 2022, the situation reached an alarming milestone. Lake Mead fell to its lowest level since it was first filled in 1937. For the first time, officials openly discussed the possibility of a dead pool when water levels drop so low that nothing can flow through the Hoover Dam. Experts warned that if that happened, not only would Las Vegas be left without its primary water supply, but hydroelectric power generation for millions across the Southwest would also collapse. As the lake receded, it revealed more than just dry rock. In a series of chilling discoveries, human remains began to emerge. In May 2022, boaters found a body stuffed inside a rusted barrel on the exposed lake bed. Authorities quickly confirmed it was a decades-old homicide victim, likely linked to organized crime during Vegas's darker years. Over the next several months, at least 5 more sets of human remains surfaced from the shrinking waters. Lake Mead, once a recreational jewel, became a crime scene, its vanishing water exposing secrets long thought buried forever. The ecological consequences are just as alarming. The Colorado River, which feeds Lake Mead, has been strangled by a 23-year megadrought, the worst in at least 200 years, according to climate scientists. Rising temperatures caused by climate change accelerate evaporation, while snowpack in the Rocky Mountains, another critical source, has diminished year after year. Less snow means less runoff, which means less water reaching the lake. But while nature plays a role, human demand has pushed the system to the brink. Nearly 25 million people in Nevada, Arizona, California, and Mexico depend on the Colorado River system. Farmers in Arizona and California draw massive amounts for irrigation. Cities like Los Angeles and Phoenix consume millions of gallons each day. And in the middle of it all, Las Vegas, with its fountains and resorts, clings to a shrinking lifeline. By 2025, projections show Lake Mead could dip below 1,000 feet elevation, a level that would trigger unprecedented emergency restrictions on water use. Officials are scrambling to negotiate water cuts among states, but political battles run fierce. Farmers demand priority. Cities claim survival rights. Everyone points fingers. Meanwhile, the lake keeps dropping. The terrifying reality is this: if Lake Mead reaches dead pool, no engineering miracle can save Las Vegas. Pipes can't pull water from an empty lake. Hoover Dam can't generate power without flow. The neon empire of the Strip could be left high and dry, literally. What makes it worse is the uncertainty. Scientists can't say exactly when the tipping point will come. It could be decades away, or it could be within just a few years if drought intensifies. What they do know is that every drop lost brings Vegas closer to an unthinkable future, a city built on water illusions, forced to confront the desert it has always tried to ignore. The shrinking of Lake Mead isn't just the result of bad luck or natural drought. The truth is, the desert is being drained by human hands, and Las Vegas is at the center of the storm. Start with growth. In 1950, Las Vegas had just 25,000 residents. By 2000, that number had exploded to nearly 1.3 million. Today, in 2025, more than 2.3 million people live in Clark County, and every single one depends on Lake Mead. The explosive population boom turned a small desert town into America's fastest-growing metropolis. But that growth came with a cost: millions of toilets, flushing showers, running lawns being watered, and pools being filled, all in a place that naturally has less than 5 inches of rainfall per year. Then there's the Strip. The casinos that made Las Vegas famous also made it thirsty. Massive fountains like the Bellagio's iconic water show, sprawling artificial lakes, and endless luxury pools consume billions of gallons each year. According to the Southern Nevada Water Authority, resort properties alone account for roughly 7% of all water use in the valley, a staggering amount considering the thousands of residents now forced to cut back. And the inequality is striking. While homeowners are told to rip out their grass, mega resorts continue building wave pools and artificial lagoons to impress tourists. One notorious example came in 2023 when a new luxury hotel unveiled a 7-acre man-made surf park, complete with a wave machine and tropical landscaping. The project was instantly condemned as reckless given the ongoing drought. Locals asked the obvious question: why should residents sacrifice their lawns while casinos get to waste water on artificial beaches in the desert? But the Strip isn't the only culprit. Agriculture plays an even bigger role. Across Nevada, Arizona, and California, farms consume the majority of the Colorado River's water. Crops like alfalfa used to feed cattle devour billions of gallons. In fact, more than 70% of the river's water is allocated to agriculture. Much of that water doesn't even stay in the U.S. It's used to grow crops for export overseas. Meanwhile, the residents of Las Vegas are told to take shorter showers. This imbalance has fueled anger among locals. Imagine being fined for watering your lawn while massive farms in Arizona flood irrigate alfalfa fields with river water that evaporates in the desert heat. The optics are clear. Ordinary people are being asked to tighten their belts while big agriculture and big casinos keep draining the desert. Corporate greed adds another layer. Developers continue building massive housing projects and luxury resorts, even as officials warn there may not be enough water to support them. Every new subdivision means more lawns, more toilets, more consumption. Yet the building doesn't stop because the profits are too high. It's a gamble, one that assumes someone else will solve the water crisis before it collapses the city. Experts put it bluntly: Las Vegas is gambling with water. The city's leaders know the supply is shrinking, yet they continue to expand like the tap will never run dry. In many ways, it's the same mentality that built the Strip's casinos: bet big, hope luck holds, and ignore the odds. But unlike blackjack, there's no winning hand when the lake is gone. And so the desert keeps being drained from lawns, from fountains, from farms, from corporations chasing endless growth. But the price of that gamble is becoming clearer every year. As Lake Mead falls, the finger-pointing grows. Everyone wants someone else to cut back. No one wants to admit the truth that the system itself is unsustainable, and that Vegas may be the one left holding the empty glass. The water crisis in Las Vegas isn't just a looming threat, it's already reshaping daily life. Policies, once unthinkable, are now the new normal, and ordinary residents are paying the price while the Strip keeps shining. In 2021, Nevada became the first state in the nation to outlaw non-functional grass, the decorative lawns that line office parks, medians, and housing developments. By 2027, an estimated 3,900 acres of grass will be ripped out, saving billions of gallons annually. Residents are encouraged, even forced, to replace lush yards with desert landscaping, gravel cactus, and artificial turf. For many locals, the green lawns that once symbolized middle-class pride are disappearing, replaced by barren rock. Water bills are climbing too. Since 2010, the average household water cost in Clark County has risen by more than 35%, with more hikes on the horizon. For families already struggling with skyrocketing rents, the higher bills are another crushing blow. Officials warn that more price increases are inevitable, as supplies dwindle effectively, punishing ordinary citizens for a crisis they didn't create. Restrictions go further. Residents face fines for watering outside permitted hours. Some neighborhoods have banned new swimming pools, while existing pools must install covers to reduce evaporation. People are told to shorten showers, let cars go unwashed, and report neighbors who waste water. In a city that once promised anything goes, life is now ruled by conservation police. But while residents tighten their belts, the Strip tells a different story. Resorts continue to operate massive fountains, waterfalls, and luxury pools, drawing criticism for hypocrisy. Casino executives point out that they recycle much of their water, and that resorts only account for 7% of total use. But that doesn't quiet the anger of locals who see the fountains of the Bellagio dancing while their own yards turn to gravel. One resident put it bluntly, "Vegas keeps the lights on for tourists, while the rest of us are told to live like we're in a drought zone." The social impact is spreading. As costs rise and restrictions mount, some families are giving up on Las Vegas entirely. Real estate agents report more locals moving to Utah, Arizona, or Texas, where water feels less scarce. The irony is staggering. A city that grew by promising abundance is now pushing people out because it cannot guarantee survival. The cracks are showing in the tourist economy too. The Bellagio fountains, once a symbol of extravagance, have already cut back performance hours to conserve water. Rumors swirl that other iconic water attractions may be scaled down or shut off. Imagine the Strip without its fountains, pools, and artificial lagoons. It would be unrecognizable, stripped of the very image it sells to the world. And beneath the surface lies the most dangerous consequence: inequality. Insiders whisper that when the crunch comes, casinos will always get priority. They generate tax revenue, attract foreign money, and employ thousands. Ordinary households, by contrast, are expendable. If water must be rationed, the Strip will stay wet while the suburbs go dry. In other words, the workers who make Vegas run may be the first to go thirsty. Already, fear is shaping behavior. Parents warn children not to waste a drop. Neighbors argue over irrigation. Communities once known for carefree leisure now feel anxious, waiting for the next round of restrictions. The crisis is no longer abstract. It is lived every day in shorter showers, browner yards, and higher bills. The warning signs are everywhere. Vegas is running out of water, and the sacrifices are falling hardest on the people who can least afford them. Meanwhile, the Strip keeps pouring champagne over ice and spraying fountains into the desert sky. For many locals, the message is clear: Las Vegas will always save its casinos first and its people second. The question that now looms over Las Vegas is unavoidable: can the city survive without water? For decades, it defied the desert, fueled by glitter electricity and endless growth. But water is the one thing Vegas cannot gamble with, and the solutions on the table may not be enough. One option is water recycling, and Las Vegas has become a leader in this field. Nearly 99% of indoor water use is captured, treated, and returned to Lake Mead. That means the water from sinks, showers, and toilets doesn't vanish. It makes a round trip back into the system. But even with this efficiency, recycling can't create more water. It only reuses what already exists. If Lake Mead continues to drop, there won't be enough to recycle. Another idea is building pipelines to import water from other states. In the early 2000s, officials proposed a $15 billion pipeline project to move groundwater from rural Nevada to Las Vegas. The plan faced massive backlash from farmers, native tribes, and environmentalists, and was ultimately shelved in 2020. Similar proposals to draw water from Utah or other regions face the same fierce resistance. No community wants to give up its water to save Las Vegas. Then there's desalination, turning seawater into drinking water. Some have suggested building massive desalination plants in California or Mexico in exchange for sending Las Vegas a larger share of the Colorado River. But desalination is expensive, energy-intensive, and politically complex. Experts warn it could take decades to implement while the crisis grows worse every year. Meanwhile, smaller measures are already in place, banning grass-limiting pool sizes, fining wasteful users. But these are band-aids, not cures. They may slow the crisis, but they cannot stop it. The Colorado River Basin, which sustains nearly 40 million people, is simply overdrawn. And Las Vegas, perched at the end of the line, is the most vulnerable of all. What happens if Lake Mead hits dead pool officials admit that if the lake falls below 895 feet, Hoover Dam won't release water downstream? At that point, no intake pipe, no recycling plant, no conservation law will matter. The pipes would run dry. Casinos, homes, fountains all silent. The very thing that keeps the Strip alive would vanish. Some optimists believe technology will save the city just as engineering once made the desert bloom. They argue that Vegas has always reinvented itself and will do so again. But others warn that the crisis is different this time. As one hydrologist put it, casinos can survive without gamblers for a while. But they can't survive a single day without water. The nightmare scenario is not science fiction. It's a future experts say could arrive within 20 to 30 years or even sooner if drought and climate change accelerate. Imagine the Strip's neon glowing over empty fountains, shuttered pools, and a city slowly abandoned by its people. Imagine Vegas as a modern ghost town, a cautionary tale of human arrogance in the desert. So can Las Vegas survive, perhaps. But survival will require more than flashy shows and corporate profits. It will require political will sacrifices from powerful industries and international cooperation on water. Without that, the city that built its fortune on illusion may be undone by the one reality it cannot escape. You cannot gamble with water and win. Las Vegas was built on a dream, an empire of light and luxury carved out of the Mojave Desert. But that dream has always rested on one fragile truth: water keeps Vegas alive. And now, the very source of that water, Lake Mead, is disappearing before our eyes. For decades, the Strip sold the illusion of endless abundance. But illusions can't refill reservoirs. Neon lights can't replace rainfall. And no casino on earth can cheat the reality of a shrinking Colorado River. The consequences are already here. Lawns ripped out, pools banned, bills climbing, families pushed to sacrifice while the fountains still dance for tourists. Experts warn the tipping point is coming when no pipe, no recycling system, no desperate fix can save the city. So the question is no longer if Vegas will face its reckoning, it's when. And when that day arrives, what will be left? The Bellagio fountains dry. The Strip glowing over empty streets. A city of 3 million turned into a desert ghost town. This is not just about Las Vegas. It's about how long we can ignore the cost of living beyond nature's limits. Because if Las Vegas without water becomes reality, it won't just shut down a city. It will mark the day the desert finally wins.